Call this meeting to order. Please rise and pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Moore? Here. Mrs. Thompson? Here. Mr. Gray?
Here.
Mr. Bittner,
Here.
Ms. Wong? Here. Mr. Lunder?
Here.
Mr. Johnson?
Here. Approval of the minutes from the regular meeting of council, September 9th, 2025. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve?
Excuse me, I
Yeah.
think there was the vote on the fence last time. You could look at that. I believe it was 3-3, not 4-2.
No, I thought it was 4-2, but.
4-2. It was 4-2 and it didn't pass.
Suspension of the
Suspension.
rules. Yes,
Suspension.
yes,
Okay.
4-2. So is there a motion to approve the minutes? Motion made by Mr. Lunder, seconded by Mrs. Moore. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Moore? Aye. Mrs. Thompson? Aye. Mr. Gray?
Aye.
Mr. Bittner,
Abstain.
Ms. Wong? Aye. Mr. Lunder?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye. Correspondence, clerk, do you have any correspondence this evening?
I do not.
Does any member of council have correspondence they wish to share tonight? Hearing none, we will move on to administrative and department head reports. Mayor and Safety Director, Mr. Eva, good evening.
James Johnson, members of council, public here this evening. Council received yesterday from me the building inspection reports for City Hall, the Service Department garage, and the Fire Department annex. Our priority right now will be renovating the Fire Department annex. We have new siding, which will be installed next, and then renovations will begin to be inside of the building after that. I'd like to commend Police Lieutenant Tina Messenger. She's completed the FBI Trilogy program. The FBI Law Enforcement Executive Development Association, or LEDA, consists of 120 hours of training. Lieutenant Messenger completed these classes to advance her knowledge of law enforcement leadership. She's completed over 300 hours of leadership and supervisory training for her time with our police department. We're proud of her dedication, commitment, professional development, which benefits our police department. That concludes my report tonight.
All right, thank you. Administrative Director, Ms. Martin, good evening.
There legal books, located in the City Hall chambers, been updated at the website, has been updated to 2025. Finally. Aqua, does not have any large projects scheduled for next year, so you don't have to worry about seeing them in your streets for anything major. And then, the service department identified an issue with the storm drain on Plains behind Walgreens while fixing a sinkhole. The camera showed about 15 feet of pipe originally, but then we sent it to the engineers and they said it was probably about more like 30 feet we're gonna have to replace. So we'll temporarily may set up a barrier to keep cars away from the area until we're able to fix the issue. That's it.
All right, thank you. Law Director, Ms. Schulte, good evening.
Good evening, I'm no president.
City Engineer, Mr. Parker, good evening.
Good evening. Just three things to talk about. One is Southland.
Can we put the microphone closer to him? Thank you. Appreciate it.
So the first is on Southland. The Severino will be finishing the installation of the storm sewer this week. He still has to go back and we're gonna adjust some of the catch basins themselves, allow it to go. And as originally designed, we're gonna try to bring as many of those out as we can and try to eliminate some of that ditch. Beach Drive will be starting performing the field survey tomorrow. So that outfall, Beach Drive outfall, but we should be able to get that survey done and start on that design and permitting underway. And then Overlook Beach Park, we submitted the permits to ODNR 2 weeks ago. So we're hoping to get something back from them. And as you know, the master plan that was approved today by Parks and Rec.
Yep, thank you. Are there questions to the administration or department heads?
So tonight's Parks and Recs letting us that you are actively pursuing a playground grant. Is it matching funds or is it 100% covered?
grant, the grant we've already received. The grant is probably something we've already received. From the Troy.
The grant for the playground and play overlay pitch.
Is that reason?
And that's what he's asking.
Alright,
So there's nothing coming out of the budget to match money.
no.
Other questions for the administration? Hearing none, we'll move on to board committee commission reports, Parks and Recreation.
All right, Parks and Recs met Thursday, September 11th. Purpose of the meeting was our general meeting. We went over the final beautification plan for the park down there was presented to us. Was decided at this time that there wasn't enough time to allow for the public to review, so we're gonna call a special meeting, which was held tonight. We'll go over that later. Went over trunk or treat, which will be October 25th at Lake Elementary. I believe Parks and Recs has decided we are going to participate. We also decided we're going to have a fall decoration Halloween contest. The flyer will be coming soon on that. It's gonna be prizes awarded and yard signs. We also decided we were going to have a holiday lighting contest as well later to follow. We'll also have flyers to distribute on that. That was pretty much it.
Good, thank you. You want to go ahead and do the special meeting
Sure.
once since you're already up?
Special meeting, Parks and Recs, we had tonight at 6 p.m. prior to this meeting. Mr. Parker presented some of the changes that had been made about a month ago. We had a meeting down at the park for the beautification. There were some comments, took those in and changes were made, and that was presented tonight. There was time allotted for the public to review the plans, and then there was time for them to comment on the plans. There were a few questions, comments, and it was voted upon that the members of the Parks and Recs Department approve the plan as presented 6-0. To present it, for Mr. Parker to present it to council. Adrian?
Good. Thank you. Ordinance committee.
Ordinance committee met on 9/15 at 7 p.m. In our discussions, we were talking about our e-scooters. We are almost done with that. I believe we have one more review before we'll bring that to council. We talked about a resident had a concern about food trucks and how they are run in the city. We could not find any clear rules for individuals operating food trucks in our city. So we're gonna be looking into that a little bit more as well. We talked about the fines for our e-scooters and how the fines will be collected. We talked about penalties for juveniles with bicycles for scooter violations. And we adjourned at 8:13. Oh, and chickens, yes. We did discuss chickens as well, the chicken ownerships. And we're considering of lowering the limit to, I believe we said 4 per household. We're still working on a way to get them registered in the city versus using a CPU or any different type of registration, so we can regulate those and keep those. Safe from. To prevent. To keep them safe and in proper care. Within our city.
Good. Is that it?
Yes.
All right, zoning committee.
Zoning committee met on September 16 at 6:30. In attendance were all 3 members of the committee, along with zoning administrator Mr. Snyder and Council President Johnson. The Planning and Zoning Commission approved the revision language for 1242.03 conditional use permits at their September 8 meeting. However, it has since been found necessary to change the language again based on our current charter and ordinances and direct all appeals of planning and zoning decisions regarding conditional use permits to the Board of Zoning Appeals rather than directly to the courts. The zoning committee agreed to make these changes into those revisions and plans to seek planning and zoning approval again before proceeding to amend the law. As pointed out by our law director, nearly all exceptions to the zoning code come before the Board of Zoning Appeals for variance. Exception appears to be for certain fence requirements where it is specifically legislated under 1242.11A, 1252.11B, and 1258.05D number 6. The planning and zoning may provide for variance in these requirements. After discussion, the zoning committee felt that the city should be as consistent as possible in its handling of exceptions, and therefore plans to look further into why the fence variance process is handled differently and consider changing it so that all zoning variances go through the same process with the same body. Finally, further revisions to 1280.05 conditions of parking areas were discussed. The subsection on residential apron work was completed, and we will clarify that the process for requesting a variance in driveway or apron materials under this revision goes through the Board of Zoning Appeals rather than through planning and zoning. The committee plans to seek review of all proposed changes so far to this zoning law to Planning and Zoning Commission at their next meeting for input. There was no new business and the meeting was adjourned at 7:10 PM. That concludes my report.
Okay, thank you. Committee of the Whole. Committee of the Whole met on September 18th, 2025 at 7 PM. The purpose of the meeting was to discuss the possible acquisition and future use of Menor Beach Park. Council discussed the results of the inspections of the property. Mr. Bittner suggested property value should be based on the land value, not the building. Ms. Wong expressed concern over the lack of ADA compliance and safety concerns with the building. Ms. Thompson expressed concerns regarding the roofing, which was relatively new. Ms. Moore expressed concerns over the cost of repair, renovating versus cost to tear down and rebuild. And Mr. Johnson expressed a lack of desire to own a money pit, funding concerns. Mayor Eva did not disagree with the concerns mentioned and brought up the amount of labor required during the autumn leaf cleanup. Menor has indicated it's done 3 times a week. Menor did not provide an annual upkeep cost for the park and building. Discussion was on the value of acquiring the property and its role on the city comprehensive plan. There was a concern from a resident whether Mentor could sell the property to someone other than Mentor on the Lake, which is yes, but it would need to remain a park as that is the zoning. Further discussion of inspection concerns, sewer lines, asbestos, discussion of land value and cost to renovate versus tear down and what could be built and how would it be paid for. Council agreed that the land was an asset. The building was not in its current condition and would require extensive renovation, including asbestos removal. Obtaining an estimate for cost to demolish was raised to continue discussion on most viable options and determine a value proposition. Council Committee of the Whole recommended obtaining an estimate for demolition to further discuss the value and potential for future use. Council will also discuss the results of inspections of our own properties when they are completed and how any issues raised there impact our finances. The committee adjourned at 7:26 PM. Were there any other board committee or commissions that met that aren't on the list tonight? Hearing none. We move on to open to the public to speak. If you'd like to speak, please come to the lectern, state your name and address for the record. Again, this is your opportunity to speak to council. It is not a back and forth with council.
Diane Spizillo, 5932 Springwood Drive. On April 1st, 2025, Springwood residents received a letter from the zoning and housing administrator stating that the McMinn fence was coming down. And that residents were responsible to replace at our own expense if so desired. Along with an additional $40 for a permit for a fence that was in place for approximately 30 years and was owned by the city and on city property. In response to this initial letter, I personally phoned City Hall and left a message for Mr. Snyder, which my call was never returned. At that point, my neighbor Amy and I drove up to City Hall and spoke to Jack. She was unable to give us a reasonable explanation
as to why residents were responsible for the cost of replacing the fence. We were only told that there was no money in the budget for the city to replace the fence. Then 1 week later, on April 7th, residents of Springwood received what amounted to was basically a retraction letter acknowledging that the current fence is indeed city-owned and on city property and would be replaced at no cost to Springwood residents. In the months following the second letter, it was debated who should take the fence down and replace it. City Service Department of 4 people, which would take away from their time and responsibilities in other areas, or hire an outside company. It was finally decided, I believe in July, that the fence, that the service department would take down the existing fence and an outside company would be hired by the city to put up the new fence. The fence would be constructed of better quality materials than the city could purchase outright. Therefore, it would last longer and it would also come with a warranty on materials and work. August came and went with council still questioning who would take down and put up the new fence and requesting more information. How much more information does the council need? Here we are today at the 3rd reading because council voted down the appropriation of funds for this project at the September 9th meeting. So at this point, the city may or may not be replacing a fence that we were initially told was a safety issue at this point in the year. Making the situation even more frustrating and disheartening is we were initially told the city had no money in the budget to replace the fence. Only to come to be made aware that the city has a budget overage of $2 million to be carried over into 2026. And here we are today, 6 months later, still cashing things out over $65,000. With any luck, maybe the 3rd time being charged. Thank you.
Anyone else? Hearing none, we will close this portion up for the public speak. We move on to legislation for council. Resolution number 2025-R-28, if you please read it by its title.
Resolution number 2025-R-28, 3rd reading. A resolution awarding the bid for McMinn Park Fence Installation Project to A&B Fencing, authorizing the mayor and administrative director to enter into an agreement with A&B Fencing to provide labor and materials for said project and declaring an emergency.
Motion for pass.
Second.
I looked in there.
Well, there was a motion made and a motion seconded. So we'll first cover that because the motion was made and seconded. It's a motion made by Mrs. Thompson, seconded by Mr. Bittner. Okay. So discussion on the motion now, before we have a vote on the motion.
Yes, I'd like to make a comment. So this fence has been a debacle since that initial letter was sent out to the residents in April. The letter was sent out telling you that a fence was going to be removed, and the only people who knew about it was city administration. We were as surprised when that letter went out as you. Over the next several months, there was a lot of discussion about the condition of the fence, why it was going to be taken down and replaced, who was going to do what, and how much that was going to cost, and where was the money going to come from. Some of the processes and procedures to approve the fence, including legislation before council and the bidding process, weren't quite done the way it was supposed to be, which has caused some of the delays. What bothers me is this we hadn't even had this on the agenda to approve before fence tear down started at the beginning of August.
Yep.
That fence started to come down before we ever had this on the agenda to approve. The administration moving forward to remove that fence prior to getting approval was a bad decision. Because if it doesn't get approved, now we have a park with a half up fence and a half down fence. I hope that in the future, one, this is a more thought out, more thorough process, and we don't start tearing things down or making decisions of removing things before replacement gets approved through the proper channels.
If I may. We had a meeting of the finance committee or committee as a whole. And the appropriation was approved for the fence. Okay. Similar to the meeting in March where we had a substantial carryover. And to the point of. We're looking at $60-some thousand compared to a carryover of $2 million. Yet we had to drag that out for 2 or 3 months. The appropriation was approved at the special meeting, which in my mind, in my opinion, allowed us to start taking that fence down. Now, you may have a different opinion, but that is my opinion.
I asked about this fence at our February finance meeting because it had been brought up the year before. The condition of it and did it need replaced? And I said, do we need to allocate money for the replacement of the fence at McMinn? And was told no.
Ms. Wong, you had something you were saying.
I have a comment about the fence that could be made after the vote. It's not related to the motion.
Okay, is there anybody else who wants to make a comment? I will make a comment, and that is that it was a bit disturbing that the second letter stating that the fence was going to be coming down came out before the bid process even closed. It did. Don't give me that look because I know it did. I was informed of that by the residents who are sitting in this room that occurred. And I asked when the bid was closing before we could put it on the agenda. So that was a little bit disturbing on its own. And yes, the entire process has been quite a bit of a disaster. Like a lot of things lately, but we will now move on to the vote on this, which is motion was made by Mrs. Thompson, second by Mr. Bittner. Roll call on the vote, please.
Mrs. Moore,
No.
Mrs. Thompson,
Aye.
Mr. Gray,
No.
Mr. Bittner,
Aye.
Ms. Wong,
Aye.
Mr. Lunder,
Abstain.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye. For council rules, the abstentions go with the majority, which is 4 votes, so it's 5-2. Passes. Resolution number 2025 dash.
My comment.
Oh,
About the
sorry.
fence. I'm sorry.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I don't see that Mr. King is here tonight. I just wanted to comment on the comment he made at our last meeting on September 9 about the pretty side of the fencing facing away from the park and concerns about panel direction with regard to the impact they might have on security. For the recreational park district, our ordinance 1242-11B requires the decorative side of the fence to face away from the lot upon which it is erected. So if those are concerns, or if we're considering flipping that around or whatever, I think we would need a variance for that, which I believe planning and zoning can grant. Do I have that? Do I have that right?
That would be a question for the law director.
I think so. I just wanted to mention that because it brought that up. So if we were considering doing that, we should make sure we. Yeah, there's no follow. Okay, it says something. That was it.
Thank you. Resolution number 2025 R-29, if you could please read it by its title.
Resolution number 2025 R-29, second reading. A resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission of Lake County, Ohio, authorizing the necessary tax levies for tax year 2026, and certifying them to the Lake County Auditor and declaring an emergency.
Is there discussion on this? Yes.
Does this have to be returned back to them by a certain date to make the 2026 tax bills?
Yes, has to be there by.
October 1st. Right, thank you. Motion to suspend, second.
Motion made by Mrs. Moore, second by Mrs. Thompson for suspension of the rules. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Moore,
Aye.
Mrs. Thompson.
Aye.
Mr. Gray,
Aye.
Mr. Bittner,
Aye.
Ms. Wong,
Aye.
Mr. Lunder,
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye.
Motion for passage.
Second.
Motion made by Mrs. Thompson, second by Ms. Wong for passage. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Moore,
Aye.
Mrs. Thompson.
Aye.
Mr. Gray,
Aye.
Mr. Bittner,
Aye.
Ms. Wong.
Aye.
Mr. Lunder,
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye. Resolution number 2025-R 34, if you could please read it by its title.
Resolution number 2025-R 34. A resolution authorizing the administrative director and mayor to apply and if selected, execute the contract with the Northeast Ohio Area-Wide Coordinating Agency funding for the Transportation for Livable Communities Initiative and declaring an emergency.
Questions on this?
What is the funding for?
It's for. Planning,
I cannot hear you, I'm sorry.
It's like to coordinate some things with the park, so like crosswalks, bike lanes, connecting them all together. Items like that.
Is it a matching grant or anything like that?
I think it's 25%.
25%.
May I make a comment? I just wanted to say that on the NOACA site. So in the past 5 years, they do this annually. Only 2 of the 49 planning or implementation awards have been granted to Lake County entities. One was to Painesville in 2022 that actually went toward their downtown streetscaping enhancements, and the other was to Lake Tran in 2021. So I'm hoping that an application that comes from another Lake County city might, we're due.
Our Lake County commissioners are actively, have been meeting with NOACA, basically complaining of that we're not getting any preferential treatment. They've been doing that over the past few months, so I figured this would be a good time to put something in, and then maybe that while they had it fresh in their minds, that we feel as a county have been neglected by them.
So would this be for an implementation grant or a planning?
It's a plan.
Plan, all right. And I understand the deadline is October 10th.
Yes,
Are we
it's-
aiming for this year?
I'm gonna try, but no guarantees.
Thank you.
Seeing the deadline, I'm gonna make a motion that we suspend.
I would second that.
Motion made by Mr. Bittner, second by Mrs. Thompson for suspension of the rules. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Moore,
Aye.
Mrs. Thompson.
Aye.
Mr. Gray,
Aye.
Mr. Bittner,
Aye.
Ms. Wong,
Aye.
Mr. Lunder,
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye.
Motion for passage.
Second.
Motion made by Mrs. Thompson, second by Mr. Bittner for approval. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Moore,
Aye.
Mrs. Thompson.
Aye.
Mr. Gray,
Aye.
Mr. Bittner,
Aye.
Ms. Wong.
Aye.
Mr. Lunder,
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye. Resolution number 2025-R 35, if you please read it by its title.
Resolution number 2025-R 35, a resolution adopting the Mentor on the Lake 2025 comprehensive plan.
Is there any discussion on this? Yes. Ms.
I would
Wong.
just like to comment that, this plan has been a long time coming. I mean, it's been at least a couple of years since we've been discussing the need for a comprehensive plan and then to appropriate the funding for it, and then to go through the process of selecting a vendor to create it, and then all of the steps through the creation of the plan. This is a huge step forward for our community. It is, and I think it's some of the largest public engagement that I've seen for in the 11 years I've lived in the city, so I think this was great. I think a lot of congratulations should go out to the folks who were involved in this and everyone who participated in it. But it's the first step. This is the kind of thing that will allow us hopefully to apply for more grants and things, because we actually have a way to say how we will use the money, what it could go toward, what our priorities are. So obviously, I hope that the rest of the council supports this as much as I do.
A question. For the grant that you're applying for, do we have to have the comprehensive plan approved and in place? Does anything in the grant have to tie back to the comprehensive?
It's not mandatory.
You're asking about NOACA?
Yes.
I don't believe so.
Does it help to have it in place? That's it.
Yeah.
Because that's what I've done a lot of TLCI projects with NOACA. When we go after the planning grant, 99% of the time you're gonna get the information. beautification grant. So we're starting with that. We'll take something out of the comprehensive plan and try to get a part of that plan. The comprehensive plan, unfortunately, is not enough detail to go into it.
Sure.
Would it be beneficial to have this approved to include with the grant application?
It would be good to at least reference it. Again, it sounds like it's a large document. I don't know that, no, I couldn't run out that. The application's actually done online. So
Before someone makes
we'll have a chance to give them the whole comprehensive plan. We can reference it. I'm assuming it'll be on the website. We can give them a web address that they can go to.
Ms. Wong.
Before we discuss suspension of the rules meeting, I agree, it would absolutely be beneficial to have it in place, at least to reference it in an application, even if we sort of don't have it available for review. Except that I feel really strongly that because this is so far reaching and has so much impact, that this at least have a second reading and so that the public is aware that. I mean, it's been on the agenda once, but that they know that they could comment or say something about it again. I'm not sure how to feel about that.
Comments? Anything? Any motions?
I understand where Mrs. Wong is coming from, but I'm also thinking through. Making a decision that would better our chances to get the grant, because. That would be very beneficial to the residents of our city. I'll make a motion to suspend.
I will second.
Motion made by Mrs. Moore, seconded by Mrs. Thompson to suspend the rules. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Moore,
Aye.
Mrs. Thompson.
Aye.
Mr. Gray,
Aye.
Mr. Bittner,
Aye.
Ms. Wong, no, Mr. Lunder,
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
No. Suspension has been approved. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made by Mrs. Moore, seconded by Mrs. Thompson. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Moore,
Aye.
Mrs. Thompson.
Aye.
Mr. Gray,
Aye.
Mr. Bittner.
Aye.
Ms. Wong.
Aye.
Mr. Lunder,
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye. Ordinance number 2025-0-14, if you could please read it by its title.
Ordinance number 2025-0-14, third reading, an ordinance to amend the 2025 appropriation ordinances and declaring an emergency.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made by Mrs. Moore, seconded by Mrs. Thompson. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Moore,
Aye.
Mrs. Thompson.
Aye.
Mr. Gray,
Aye.
Mr. Bittner.
Aye.
Ms. Wong.
Aye.
Mr. Lunder,
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye. Ordinance number 2025-0-16, if you could please read it by its title.
Ordinance number 2025-0-16, second reading, an ordinance amending section 250.24 of the codified ordinances of the city of Monroe-on-the-Lake, Ohio, entitled Reemployment of a Retired City Employee.
Discussion on this tonight?
Is there anything that anyone would have?
I mean, the only thing this does is this aligns the police department chief and the fire department chief with everybody else. It's just making sure that everything is the same for everybody across the board.
Is there a reason we should hold this to go on to the reading?
I don't think so.
The
My
police,
opinion.
so the police and fire are eligible for a program called DROP. And with that program, they're eligible to bolster their retirement prior to their official retirement date in the city, so they get their retirement, they have a program that allows them for another 5 to 8 years to do some alternate investing or allocation of their funds to bolster their retirement. And now we want to include them into a program where they could retire, collect their retirement, and still be employed by the city and still get paid. I would say that before we make a final decision, that I can share the link, and I'd like everybody to look at the DROP program before making a final decision.
they're allowed to join the drop program without our permission. There's plenty of people that are already on a drop program, so this rehire doesn't really necessarily have anything to do with. Like affect the way that they can do the drop program, and they don't need our permission to enter in the drop program.
So they could do that and get sorry. They could get dropped and they could rehire. They could do both.
But this order, like. The way it's written now is we could still rehire him, and they just wouldn't have to follow the same rules as anyone else. So then you're taking out the part where you wanted the council to like review things. So then you're just going back to the original way where it's just up to the mayor, so he could still rehire somebody even if you didn't pass this.
Thank you.
Does that change your recommendation?
Yeah, you can send it through. That's fine.
So a question, under the drop program, they don't even have to notify the city that they're doing it. So at their end of their 25 years, you can enter into this program and continue your service with that city. That is not a retire rehire at that point.
Correct.
Now, at the end of those 8 years is my question, then would they be eligible for this to say, I want to continue working? Officially retire. And then be rehired. That's where this would come in, correct?
Correct. But we can do that with or without this ordinance as it's today.
Right, but they wouldn't be held to the same standards that we're holding other.
Correct.
So we want to just level the playing field for everyone. Okay. And motion to suspend.
I second.
Motion made by Mr. Bittner, second by Mrs. Thompson for suspension of the rules. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Moore,
Aye.
Mrs. Thompson.
Aye.
Mr. Gray,
Aye.
Mr. Bittner,
Aye.
Ms. Wong,
Aye.
Mr. Lunder.
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Bittner, second by Mrs. Thompson for passage. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Moore,
Aye.
Mrs. Thompson.
Aye.
Mr. Gray,
Aye.
Mr. Bittner,
Aye.
Ms. Wong,
Aye.
Mr. Lunder.
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye. Ordinance number 2025-0-18, if you please read it by its title.
Ordinance number 2025-0-18, second reading. An ordinance establishing credit card convenience fees for payments received by the city for city services.
Comments, discussion, anything? Anybody awake? Hearing nothing, this will go on to third reading. Ordinance number 2025-0-19, if you please read it by its title.
Ordinance number 2025-0-19, an ordinance to approve the editing and inclusion of certain ordinances as parts of the various component codes of the codified ordinances to provide for the adoption of new matter in the updated and revised codified ordinances, repealing ordinances and resolutions in conflict therewith and declaring an emergency.
So this is to take all the legislation that we passed in 2024 and have it updated into all of the proper places that it's supposed to be current.
It's already
Yes.
online.
Yeah. So
Is there a motion to suspend the rules?
motion to suspend.
Second.
Motion made by Mrs. Moore, second by like everybody, Mr. Bittner. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Moore,
Aye.
Mrs. Thompson.
Aye.
Mr. Gray.
Aye.
Mr. Bittner.
Aye.
Ms. Wong.
Aye.
Mr. Lunder.
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye.
Motion for passage.
Second.
Motion made by Mrs. Moore, second by Mrs. Thompson for passage. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Moore,
Aye.
Mrs. Thompson.
Aye.
Mr. Gray.
Aye.
Mr. Bittner.
Aye.
Ms. Wong.
Aye.
Mr. Lunder.
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye. Old business. Well, I think we took care of the comprehensive plan already. Unless anyone had any discussion on that they wanted to bring up. Support. Menor Beach Park, any discussion other than? At this point on that?
I have a question, that maybe is best directed to Ms. Schulte regarding. When it comes to the point of actually, developing a proposal and. Offering a purchase price, Is there a point at which those discussions for the benefit or protection of the city's interests should be done in executive session rather than in public meeting?
I don't know if there's a reason that it could fall under for executive session.
Is it one of the 9 reasons?
Something about property.
Well, negotiating prices or how much you would be willing to pay for something so that that doesn't become something the other negotiating party is aware of.
Yeah, if it's like a serious, like you guys we're probably going to do this, then yeah, we could go into executive session and like hammer out those details, but. Yeah, like. I would suggest that once you're at. But until you've had the discussions. Public until then. Alright,
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Bittner.
Does the administration have any knowledge of Mentor demolishing that building? Just out of curiosity. No. All that they would go, that they're doing, or not, okay.
That remark that Mr. Bitter just said was on Facebook today, and it caused all kinds of confusion that the building's coming down. That's the reason Mr. Bitter must have brought it up.
That is correct.
And I wanna know, and I think you put it on Facebook, you wanna know who leaked that to Mr. Cavelli. He's the one that started it,
Leaked what?
that.
Leak.
There's nothing, it was a public meeting. and-
Yeah.
We didn't say we were going to demolish it.
Yeah,
I said,
but,
you know,
the thing is that
maybe they were talking. about
Facebook, and all of a sudden it comes out of a meeting that we had that they're demolishing it.
I think like every other
And that was
rumor,
demolishing it.
I think like
So-
every. What, talking and. Like every other rumor, it starts with a sliver of truth and it spreads to somebody else who heard this from somebody else who. Then twisted it into something else, you know, it's not necessarily factual, so. And some people like to post things on Facebook to get people fired up about things. So
80 people got fired up today.
apparently you did too.
Well, I didn't agree.
Okay, moving on. Is there anything else under old business tonight? Okay, new business. We all received the city inspection, the city property inspections. Does anybody have any? Discussion of that? I did have a concern over the ponding on the roof, since that roof is actually new. We just did that last year. Yeah. What are we doing about that? Cause.
I have a warranty, I'm gonna be.
Okay, cause yeah, that's concerning that it's already.
Yeah, I agree, like the part two where they said it was still dirty and then they didn't clean it, but they put it on top anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I guess. The air conditioning was also a concern, not that it's not cold in here now, so it seems to be working just fine, but I thought that was fairly new, but maybe I'm mistaken as to when that was purchased. I felt like it was, but.
I have no clue.
Okay, but yeah, like. Check on the age of it and whether we do need to start considering that in our plan, but I would appreciate it if the administration. You guys could put together like. A list of, all right, these are our priorities, these are what we want to do first, you know, just so we could. You know, what are the highest priority ones to get done? I mean, some of them not necessarily major concerns, and then there were other things that were, I know you guys said. That the annex building is a priority. You know, so costs that are gonna be incurred for that, you know, details. Just so we have a better idea of what we're looking at for the future.
The annex stuff was already planned. At a time, because the mold people came in and they.
Right.
Yeah.
So some
A
of
lot
that
of the things
was,
on that was just, yeah, of course, because we just are in the process of fixing it.
right, but also like the asbestos flooring, is that in our plan now? Are we going to do something with that? Are we not gonna do something with that?
And of course, we're gonna have to, now that he put it on paper, we're gonna have to have somebody inspect it, at least, at the very least, to confirm or deny whether or not it is.
Right,
Yeah, so
So-
we can't even remove it now. Because of that possibility,
right,
so, yes, of course, we're gonna have to work on that, I think it was, the one in here was just in that one closet. that storage closet.
Okay, yeah, I
That was
don't
right there.
recall off the top of my head exact
I
spots where
think, I
it
think it
was.
was inside the closet only, which is good, so nobody in the public is like going around in those areas at all,
Well,
for the most part. So. There's a couple things, but all the roofs, I contacted all the roofers today and made them all come back and. I have somebody coming tomorrow to do the little things that he said on the, like the tube tightening and the screws and stuff on that roof. And then the other guy, when he comes out and does the siding, he's gonna finish, like he's gonna tack in some nails or whatever. So I have the roofs pretty much figured out, and just for this one, I put in a warranty claim, I just want to do that.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
So. Yeah, well. Some of it was, I talked to Joe about it this morning, and some of it like putting insulation around the. Air conditioner that goes into the wall. That goes into the wall, like to do stuff like that, they could caulk some of it around. So. Some of those things are just like little
Right,
minor things.
right. Anybody else on this topic tonight?
I mean, it appears that most of the items were level 1 or level 2. It appeared that one category with the most level 2 and level 3 recommendations were electrical.
Yes, the electrical is definitely a difficult one, because now we'll have to hire an actual electrician to put it up to code and. So, but that is gonna, I'm assuming it's gonna be costly, but
But in terms of prioritizing your list, I mean, I know easy things and less expensive things are good to do first, but again, things that are either more of a danger or are more of a hazard, probably move them up the priority list. Even if they are expensive.
Anybody else on this tonight? No, is there any other new business tonight? We know, we'll move on to open to the public to speak. If you'd like to speak, come to the lectern, state your name and address for the record. Again, this is an opportunity to speak to council. It's not a back and forth with council. Good evening.
Good evening, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, of council, the administration, the public. I want to set the record straight a little bit about that post you all saw on Facebook that Mr. Kelly put up. I spoke to him shortly after he put that up. It has nothing to do with the leak from you folks. Somebody he works for, part-time, does a demolition company. And he was hired or asked by the city of Mentor officials to meet them down there the other day, maybe yesterday, to give them a price on demoing that building. That's where that came from. Just so you know that there's no big, deep, dark secret leak in here. He assumed from that Mentor is looking at raising the building, possibly. I do know his boss, according to what he told me, said he had to walk away from it. There's too much in there for him to deal with. Thank you.
Anyone else?
If I may.
Sure.
In order for us to get quotes on demolition. We have to work with the city of Benton to get a Mentor representative down there. And this is what Chuck has been working on. So the city of Mentor and us, we're down there. So it's. We're gonna get at least 3 quotes. And. It's always gonna work where there's gonna be a Mentor representative down there with us.
Sure.
So, just to make it clear. It's not Mentor, it's. And take that down.
Well, it's not anybody taking you down.
Right.
You know, it's still just part of the discussion for the
Exactly.
overall, what are our options and what can we do?
Right.
So. Okay, anything else? And then open to the public to speak. Okay, now close this portion, open to public to speak. We'll move on to announcements and settings of meetings. We have the finance committee, which. That's scheduled for Thursday at 7 PM, but I believe you wanted to move that.
I have a few notes about 10 tomorrow. Or Thursday, so.
Sorry about that.
Did you want to reschedule that now, or you wanna wait and reschedule it at the next meeting?
Next meeting.
Okay. Planning and zoning is currently scheduled for Monday, October 6th at 6 PM. Parks and Rec is scheduled for Thursday, October 9th at 6:30. 6:30. Other committees,
Ordinance, the 29th. 7 PM.
ordinance, the 29th at 7 PM, that's September 29th.
For zoning committee, I guess I just ask if you guys are available the week of the 7th. The next planning and zoning commission meeting is on October 6th, which is where the conditional use permits and the parking material will be presented, so I don't want to meet before then because we won't have the feedback from that. But then I would like to schedule to get this going. I don't know, it's possible we could make the next council agenda, which would be for the 14th, but at least we know we have a meeting and we have it in place rather than waiting. It's just that we're getting toward the end of the year and there are a whole mess of conditional use permits up for reissuance in 2026. And I want to try to move on that. Are you guys available? I guess Tuesday the 7th, Wednesday the 8th. Thursday the 9th is planned as Parks and Rec, so we can't do that.
So it's 7, I'm going.
Which date?
7.
Tuesday the 7th?
Yeah.
Okay,
And what time?
what time is good for you guys?
6:30.
6:30? Okay, so Tuesday, October 7th at 6:30 for zoning. Okay, thank you.
I will tell you, as of now, there's nothing on the planning and zoning mission agenda. And I don't see where bringing them in to look at an ordinance is feasible.
Okay, sorry, I was submitting it to Chuck tomorrow because this deadline for the agenda was Friday.
Can I ask why that
Yeah, I
would
mean,
be
it's
feasible? I
it's
mean,
business for them. I mean, we're required to run zoning changes past them. It's part of their duty.
I didn't see that in the charter. I don't know where that came from. They've already looked at the conditional use permit ordinance twice. I think the only change on there is the BCA portion. I don't see bringing them in to look at that again. Unless Michelle will fix everything.
I mean, we are required to run our zoning changes by planning and zoning. I mean,
is it something like that, it's to say the purposes of our meeting, would that be something you can circulate and then like ahead of time and discuss later, like how have you done on the past with other changes that you've done?
well, so for the conditional use permits, I understand it's small changes, except that again, since we did not present it to them in ordinance form. The promise was that we would not make changes that they were not aware of and did not approve, and I think to make good on that. I would, in good faith, present these changes back to them. That can certainly be circulated remotely. However, I think the decision on their approval is by vote and really needs to be business conducted in a public meeting. So I'm not sure how that could be done except in a meeting. I was also planning on bringing the parking surfaces, that's the driveway materials, which is a change in the zoning code, out to them. They saw it the first time. It has been substantially changed since then. Again, the information can be recirculated ahead of time. It usually is, but the decision on it has to be, and discussion has to be in a public meeting. There's oftentimes they don't have anything on the agenda. They don't have anything on the agenda for months. I just think it would seriously obstruct our business to not be able to have planning and zoning meet for something. If not this month, and not next month, and not in November, we wouldn't get this past them in any reasonable time, and then we still need public hearings on them because change in zoning code requires a public hearing, and so that's still, is that correct? 3 readings on our side, so I guess I'm concerned about the delay.
On the conditional use permit. I believe they reviewed the red line and also the version. I guess my point is the only thing that's changed in there is things are going to BZA now. Correct.
Correct.
I guess I don't understand why it couldn't go on first reading for council. With that change.
I guess because the understanding was that planning and zoning would approve our final language, and that was part of the discussion we had the first time it came past them, so I don't want it to appear that we're pulling a fast one on planning and zoning by changing something, not the detail of what's been changed, but I mean, it is a substantial change. The appeals do not go directly to the Court of Common Pleas, they go to BZA, which is different.
I mean, if you had.
And we have something else as well.
If you have something else, then. That's fine. Just trying to. Let's get efficient on this a little bit more.
So
is there going to be a planning and zoning commission meeting, or is there not going to be a planning and zoning commission meeting?
If there are two items, then we will have a plan.
Thank you. Okay. Any other meetings that we need to schedule? Next regular meeting of council will be October 14th, 2025 at 7 p.m.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion made by Mrs. Moore, second by Mrs. Thompson for adjournment. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Moore,
Aye.
Mrs. Thompson.
Aye.
Mr. Gray,
I.
Mr. Bittner,
Aye.
Ms. Wong. Aye. Mr. Lunder.
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye, we're adjourned.